Okay, I think I could stand like way back here because this thing is really echoing. Okay, I know it's a little late. Can I get everybody to kind of grab like a chair? And I'll start the meeting. This is going to be a fun meeting. This is going to be one of those interactional kind of like wonderness. Oh my God, it's so loud. I can't believe it. Yeah, it's like we need to turn the volume down. I'm loud enough as it is. Is there a volume on there, Frank?
I'm trying to find it.
I have a staff body here, don't I? No. Andrew, do you know how to do the volume thing? Wow, I could like stand here and do this. Yeah, volume control. It's like seriously loud.
It's a podium, man.
Is it lower?
Stand back for it.
Standing back. You can sit wherever you want, honey.
Please, the table.
This is very informal, kind of. As we lower this.
You gotta sit next to Rod.
Sit next to Rod. Keep
Is
him
it better?
company.
Debbie, is it better?
Is this better? Yes, much better. Okay. So we'll call this meeting to order. What's the clocks around here? Oh, okay. Boy, are we late, 6:35. Okay, sorry, I had to get my caffeine, I apologize. Okay, so welcome to this. I hope everybody's gonna enjoy this. The last one we had was very entertaining, and we had a lot of college students. Where are they? Butch. They're here? Yes. Okay, they were a lot of fun. So we're calling the meeting to order, and my roll call is basically Teresa O'Neill, council member, and Councilmember Watanabe. Here, yes, excellent, okay. Any public presentations before we go forward?
You mind?
Are you kidding?
After like 8 minutes.
No,
6,
no,
4.
2.
Okay.
You got the floor.
Okay, wait. Can I set up?
No. You can do this, because I know exactly what you're gonna say.
Different stuff.
It's different stuff? Okay. 2 minutes, let's roll.
You wanna go 2 minutes? All right, no, you take over 2 minutes.
Can you just kind of do the, yeah. Is this yours, Frank, up here?
Yes.
Because he's ready to rock, so.
Oh, he is.
Can you verbally do this?
I go on to show it to, you know what, I can do it after.
Okay,
It's fine, no worries.
wonderful. Okay. Moving on to correspondence and announcements. I don't believe we have any. Andrew? I didn't think so. Approval of the minutes, my chairs. Do you want to just note and file, please? Yes? Note and file, okay. And now down to do new business, so we're moving on pretty quickly. So I would like to introduce Frank Fuller. He's in charge of the little tables that you have here. We had a great time the last time, but Frank is going to update us on what happened, and we're going to move forward. So Frank Fuller, you have the floor.
Thank you, Councilperson Davis. So it's a pleasure to be back tonight, and what we're doing tonight, in brief, is to look at all the things we did from the last meetings, and we made a preferred plan from that, but it's not the preferred plan. It's just one of perhaps many preferred plans. But we try to take all the comments that everyone's had from the last meeting and before and craft a plan, which are in models and drawings on the tables that we will then break into groups. So what we're going to do is first we're going to have a short presentation. Then we're going to gather in these small groups. And then, as we did last time, 1 or 2 persons will come back and present to the larger group. And then we'll have a summary of all what we heard and next steps. So this meeting is, in a way, a culmination of 7 meetings. And so we've actually, after having looked at the whole gamut of what could be, come up with a plan, which we're going to delve into in more depth, just to show you that's kind of what it looks like and what's on the table, and we'll go into what that means in a little while. But first, this is what happened last time. and what's happened since last fall, or the fall of 2015 in these 7 meetings. We had one at the university, we've had a couple here, a couple at the library, and what we've been doing is trying to solicit as much opinion as we can about various factors of the downtown and what everyone would like to see. So Heidi's now going to turn on a brief video. I promise you it's less than a minute, just to show you what happened in the last.
Oh, it's great, but it's a hotel, we have a bar on top, and then we.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can the autonomous trolley deal with people coming out of bars kind of slowly?
Of course.
Okay.
Fine. We would have every rule, we would make sure it's all
Another
common
trolley
sense.
fatality in
I
Santa
think,
Clara.
I think with what Casey and I and our group is that this is an old soul here, and the footprint is already there. And I think we bring it up to date, but we take a little bit from the 1860s. We take it back from the history of this city as one of the oldest in California.
Have history of every decade.
Exactly. And we sprinkle it a little bit, and I think which the gentleman, you brought up, what makes it unique? That's the key. This is the key. This is Santa Clara, and I think we could all, wrap our arms around this and really, move forward. Oh, it's great, but it's a hotel, we have a bar on top, and then we.
I have a question. So you get just a little taste. But what basically was happening is the pieces are movable, right? And there's paper and there's scissors and there's everything. So people took advantage of that to help construct what they were talking about or write notes. They have pads to write notes on, do whatever it takes to say, here's what we're thinking. So we took all of that and started to craft a preferred plan, which is on the tables. So before we get into reviewing that plan, I just wanted to look back a little bit at a couple of other items which also help inform what we're all doing. The first one is that the general plan and its update from 2010, or amendment, actually shows kind of what has been coming forth, which is make Franklin into some sort of main street in some way that ties in with the university. That came up again and again. And so when we look at it in general, in a bigger sense, all the way from the Caltrain and future BART station to Monroe is about 3/4 mile, a nice walkable distance, making the Santa Clara University and the super block of downtown, as it's been called, from Lafayette to Monroe, work together. And then there are certain things that are happening all the way from Lafayette with the university heading over to El Camino Real and to the transit center. And so if we look at the existing downtown, we just see a little bit here of everything that's there now. And it's always important to look at this. And by picking up any of these blocks, you can also see what's underneath or refer to one on the wall. So it's always, we're looking back, and it's amazing how when you look at the downtown, sometimes you forget exactly what's where, even if you live here. So along the way, since we started, actually, there's been some work by the university on Franklin Street improvements. Here, the promenade is shown, and actually, the street on the far right is Alviso, and the one in the middle is Alameda. And so the first phase of this, which I understand might be constructed starting this summer, is that first block, and then the second phase would go to Lafayette from the Alameda. So you can see that there's a lot of improvements planned or thought about, including intersections and even a history idea at the intersections, and then some sort of gateway at Lafayette, sort of welcoming you in and out from downtown as part of the downtown. So this was actually talked about a lot in some of the first meetings and then kept being reiterated in recent meetings. And of course, there are also projects underway. Here, the downtown gateway at the corner of Franklin and Monroe, or then there's a picture from Monroe Street at that corner. So you can see that there are already things happening, and what's important about a plan like this is nothing stops. But we can make it work in progress, and in order to see what's next, one of the things that comes out of something like tonight is, what kind of phasing should there be if this is this kind of preferred plan, and then what should be the next steps? So that's what we'll do at the very end. Jane?
Hi, I'm Jane. I'm with Urban Field Studio, and What we have up here is the GIS map of the existing parcels. And as you can see, we've outlined the super block, and you can see that there's some larger parcels in there and a lot of smaller parcels, especially at Franklin Mall. We were also looking at in the past, and you may have seen this before because I presented it a few times ago, downtown Campbell as an example of another downtown that has a nice grain of an urban pattern to it. And when you look at the buildings in downtown Campbell and you outline them like this, and you cut and paste those outlines right onto the super block, you'll see that they're in red. You see that the pattern actually fits quite nicely on the super block. And this was kind of an amazing coincidence, or maybe it's not a coincidence. This is actually a pattern that used to be there that still exists in Campbell and has, and if we were able to compare them, you would see that you could fit it if you wanted to bring it back. So some of the principles that we have gathered from our conversations in past workshops, and there's been quite a few, this is number 7. So there's define a flexible plan boundary, promote the local flavor and unique vibe of this place, respect the historical heritage and character, incorporate a pedestrian-oriented spine along Franklin Street, address flexibility in uses, densities, and site relationships. These are all big topics that came up time and time again, and we can keep talking about how those big topics are implemented in this plan and what the best way to make these things a reality would be. Oh, and there's 5 more. So there's maximizing the collaboration among the city, Santa Clara University, and other stakeholders. Include a diversity of uses that will activate downtown, promote the arts and the arts community as a theme, enhance transit, pedestrian and bicycle access and other forms of access, and promote a balanced scale of development that achieves a density for success. So again, today we're going to have a chance to explore some of these principles, and maybe they have shifted a little bit, but we'll have a chance to talk about what these mean to us now. At our last meeting, we had looked at 3 alternatives. Alternative A that focused on infill, Alternative B that looked at meandering Main Street, and Alternative C that's replacing the downtown grid. All 3 of these alternatives are at every table, so they're just for reference of what we had worked on in the past. But I wanted to kind of go over them and show you. We made models of these, a 3-dimensional model, so we can kind of see how they work. And with Alternative A, really focusing on infill, we realized that some of the larger parcels and how to work with them, you know. So there's some parcels that are existing that are either, I think they're city-owned, but not all of them. Most of them are privately owned. So this is the most conservative approach, looking at the infill of really the areas along Lafayette. And in a model form, this is what it looked like at the discussion in February. And for Alternative B, this looked at trying to get Franklin Street to go through, and maybe not in a straight manner, but as a meandering curve, really to respect some of the existing buildings that are still there. And then this is what it looked like when we were working on it in February. And Alternative C, which was the grand vision, is really reinstating Franklin Street all the way through, and reinstating the grid and connecting all those streets through and creating these blocks as they once were. Now, to achieve this takes a little more effort than the infill, but we'll talk about that as well. This really does, it serves as a grander vision, and that's actually what has led, it seemed like people were very into it. We had the most discussion about this in February, and this is what's leading to our preferred plan as of now. So When we talk today, I want you to consider the three alternatives that we had looked at before when you're looking at this. Maybe it's time to reconsider some of those, maybe it's not. But we would like to ask you the following questions, especially about this preferred plan. So which elements and ideas illustrated in the alternatives and in the preferred plan did you like? And which ones didn't you like? What kind of street or connection should Franklin Street be? Should it just be a path between all the parcels that exist? Should it be a real street? Should it be a meandering street? Should it be a straight street? These are all questions that we want some feedback on. What uses and activities should downtown Santa Clara offer? This is something we've started talking about from the very beginning, but we want to know again what it is that, what kind of place you want downtown Santa Clara to be, and what kind of new buildings and open spaces should be here. What kind of forms are they, and what kind of places are they like? If you attended in February, we had a lot of different examples of other places that we looked at around the Bay Area that served as examples, and we welcome you to continue to bring up those examples as far as describing what the things that you like and perhaps the things you don't like as well. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Heidi, and she's going to go over the rest.
I'm Heidi. I think Jane already mentioned that. Before I move on, I wanted to see if everyone got this sheet up in the front that gives you some opportunity to take some notes right now, because I'm going to talk a little bit more about the preferred plan. And there are some ideas or what you like or you don't like. You can already take notes, and that would be helpful for the work session if you like to do so. I put a stack there at the last table, so please help yourself if you want to make use of that. So obviously we had very different options. We had a lot of discussion in the last workshop. It was also very much fun to work with the models, I think. And even though they were all quite different, I think we could come to the conclusion that there were some common themes emerging that almost every group mentioned or was important to them. And so one of the key things that had a very, very strong support was bringing back Franklin Street and reestablishing the old grid. In addition, everyone thought that should really become a destination in the way that it used to be, and that there should also be a really nice mix of uses. Where this is exactly located, which block has which use, there was some discussion about that, but the consensus was that there should really be a mix of uses, community-related uses, residential, some office in some cases. So it should be such a mix of use that there is a lot of activity in the downtown. Another key point was a new theater, and that could be in combination with a community center. So that was also something that could be iconic, that really attracts people locally, but maybe even beyond. That's something that was also very much a common theme in all of the alternatives. And then we also talked about a public space that could be used for public gathering and events. Where this is located, there were different ideas about it. Should it be a central space, or should it just be with a community center, for example, and should it be at Lafayette? There were different options. But these were the overall common themes. So we took these main themes and tried, based on what we heard, and we would really like to get confirmation from you, is that what we really heard correctly from you in the last sessions and the sessions before? So we came up with what we now call the preferred plan. But like Frank said, it's not a set-in-stone plan. We're still doing the visioning. But it's just like putting down all the ideas where we hope we can find some consensus on with you in this session. So when you look at that one, and this is actually the model that you see built on the tables, that we just rebuilt at every table that you are welcome to play with again. But this is what we thought could maybe show this in the best way from what we heard from you. So we established a grid. So you can see that we extended Main Street and Washington Street, go all the way through, and most importantly, Franklin Street becomes the key piece to this entire plan. And Franklin should be pedestrian-oriented, so it still has some traffic allowed on it, but the way you treat the street should definitely be oriented towards pedestrians, and that could be done through pavement, it could be almost like a visual extension of what the university is doing with their Franklin Street part, so it visually continues. And then we have, we put this right here, the new theater together with a new hotel, a central plaza where events could happen. We kept the remaining office building, we kept the buildings, including Benton Hall, and tried to actually reestablish what used to be Main Street with retail on the ground floor and residential on top, and there would be more residential along the edges right here. And very critical too, which was a great idea that came up for the first time last time, was a market hall. Like instead of maybe just a conventional grocery, maybe it is something that brings together different type of, food places and maybe some small grocery place. And that could be also the central location right on Main Street. So this is what you have now. And we showed this in the plan, so you have a better way of comparing it. So you see there's plenty of parking right now. And we thought about how could you, if you were going with a plan like this, how could you actually possibly phase it? And of course, there's a lot of implications, ownership challenges that we have to deal with. But if we would like to make that happen, how could that work? And we thought, the first phase, probably the easiest would be to do, because the university is already doing their part here, is to fill in what's currently a parking lot with the new mixed-use project right here, potentially the community center and the hotel. Just start on this side, on the east side, right at Lafayette. Then the next phase could, so we start Franklin Street right here, just this portion, and to Washington extension. And then we come in from the other side. We still keep this block pretty much untouched in the next phase. So we're kind of slowly working our way towards making Franklin a complete street. Then the next phase could be just filling in those blocks and bringing the market hall that could already get served from Homestead Road, even though Franklin might not go all the way through yet. And then the last phase would really be completing the last two blocks where we currently have the apartment buildings and replace those over time. So we would end up with, hopefully, the Main Street that you had envisioned. So again, just summarizing, what are the key things to a vibrant downtown that can become a destination? Definitely an open space for gathering and events, a street that can be the Main Street, make it very pedestrian friendly, and allow for a range of different uses, different events, so day and night uses in the downtown. And then, of course, cultural facilities like the community center are very important. There could be a collaboration between a theater and a community center, depending on what size Santa Clara really needs. So now I think we're getting ready for, we take a short break, I would say, just a couple minutes, and then we just gather at the tables, and we would like to go over just some key questions again, looking at the preferred plan, what you really like about it, what you do not like about it, are there any other ideas from the last time that you really would like to see implemented? And for those people who have not been here before, feel free, to voice whatever you think there should be, and maybe it was mentioned before, but maybe not. And also feel free to actually use the model. The model is not there just for looks. You can touch it, you can move things around, so you're encouraged to work with it. And for reference, we also have the old alternatives there that you can refer to, and you can scribble, take post-its down there, so whatever you would like to do. We just want to hear from you, is that the vision, kind of, did we hear that correctly, or is there other things that you would like to see?
So, well, after we take the break and before we get started, it looks like there are probably about 3 tables worth at the moment. If more people come, we could have a 4th table. So we're going to count off 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to see which table you're going to be at. This is going to be table 1. Oops, table 3. It says 3 right there. There's table 1, and then table 2 is over here. So we'll use 4 or 5 if more people come. So let's start. Why don't you start right there with number 1? Over on the sign-in sheet, and put your email down, please, your email address. Thank you very much.
Well, I guess some.
Okay, 2, 2, you want to do 3? I'll help out with 3. All right.